So now we're gonna talk about cleaning our wheels and our tires. Now you'll notice you definitely want the gloves on for this portion. These things are super dirty. Now, they are a big inspiration for the separation in the less wash model. We wanna keep all of our tools that we're cleaning this with separated. So this is our third wash bucket here. We have our other two wash buckets over there for the main part of the car. And we have all our tools in here. Now, the reason why we wash these first, we don't wanna come back, hose them off, clean them off, and then that gunk goops onto the car. Also, the wheel cleaners, tire cleaners, this is a wheel and tire cleaner formula that we're working on right now. Sample bottle there. As you're just spraying the wheel. Of course, I wasn't being as careful to make a point, but you'll see, especially with a car like this, right? This low pro car, slam, tight tires, it's gonna naturally get onto the car paint here. We don't want that to sit on the car paint. So if we did this last, now we have to come back and clean that section. That's not good. So by cleaning this first, when we come back to wash the car, we're gonna wash all of that off and we'll be in a good spot. Now let's talk about tools. A wheel and tire cleaner is gonna make a world of difference, which you're gonna see in the washing process. If we're going super basic, then we want a wheel woolly here, as you will see. We want a separate wash mitt. So we're not using this wash mitt on the rest of the car. And then I also like this kind of brush here, lug nut brush, because we can do the lug nuts, tire stems, some of the minor parts, and we can even clean up these tires. So that's the basic tool set. If we're gonna upgrade it a little bit more, then I would recommend this rim brush and this tire brush. And that's really just gonna help us clean the car faster, more efficiently in combination with this. These things are really dirty, it's really a pain, and the tools make a difference here. So now we're gonna show you our simple wheel clean. Now, again, coming back to the tools, a pressure washer gets a lot off here. Pressure washer is a massive help when it comes to cleaning the wheels. Now, if we're not using some kind of wheel and tire cleaner, we're just using the soap that we have. So in this case, we're using our Velux wash or potentially our Zero wash if we're gonna coat the wheels. So we're gonna get our wash bucket here, right? Wash mitt, nice and soapy. And we're just gonna get these wheels nice and soaped up. Gonna come back and dunk. And then we can use our wheel woolly here. And now the wheel woolly is really good for this deeper wheel well. And typically we kind of want to start and go in this motion, right? So we're going to start at the top, we're going to go half, we're going to start at the other top and go half. With the wheel woolly, you can get into some of these crevices, right? So we're doing about half there, hitting a dunk, doing about half there. Now, the more complex wheels, the more intricacy they have, the more difficult they're gonna be to clean. Or something like the brake calipers even, I'm pretty sure you can see that. That's gonna get in the way, right? So it's hard for me to get the wheel woolly in or get the wheel woolly in. And that's where sometimes you might have to clean the wheel, drive up slightly, and then clean the rest of the wheel. So let me get this wheel woolly in here, get these wheel wools nice and clean. Now, when it comes to the wheel wall specifically, this is an area that I see people slack on. And the reason why that's bad is because it's one of the most dirty areas. So if you never clean it, what's gonna happen is that continues to come outwardly onto your rim, onto the face. And then eventually it gets so dirty, you have to pull the whole wheel off to properly deep clean it. Now, coming back here with the wash mitt, we can hit it one more time. The big thing with the wash mitt, and we're gonna put our hand in here, is in addition to cleaning the face, right? So we're gonna clean this face here. We're gonna clean this face here. And this has these noodles. Again, with the gloves, you can really kind of just get in there more on that deeper clean. An area that people miss here is coming behind, right? Curling and cleaning behind the face of the wheel. Because again, that's a spot where it builds up. If we never clean it, it's just gonna continue to build up. If you want your wheels to stay cleaner longer, that's the trick. Now, last but not least, we're gonna take our brush that we have here, all-purpose kind of utility brush. We're gonna touch up the lug nuts there. And this is just nice for any areas that are more detailed, right? Like this valve stem, that's a good area to hit. Right here in between where the rim meets the tire, this is nice to clean up. I'm just gonna kind of dunk it a little bit more for some soap. Again, a wheel and tire cleaner is really gonna make a big difference here. I would highly encourage it. And then if you're not using some kind of tire brush, you can also use this here for just a light brush of the tires. A mistake that people make is they put a tire shine on their tires, but they're never actually cleaning their tires. So it's almost like coating and cleaning your car at the same time. It just gets really gunky. And that's also why their tire shines don't last as well. Now we're gonna show you our advanced cleaning method. And this is pretty similar. The biggest difference is we're just incorporating more tools. So here we've got our wheel and tire cleaner. Future formulation we're coming out with. We're still in the testing process. So we're just gonna spray that all over. So we're hitting the tires here. We're hitting the main wheel. There we go. Now we're gonna come back here. First, we're gonna get our tire brush. See, stiffer brush, shorter. Coming down, clean in half. Coming down, clean in half. Dunking that in. If you have really gunky tires, like if you use a really high gloss tire shine as an example in the past, or one of those like nasty kind of ones, like aerosol can, you might wanna hit your tires twice to get it off properly. Next, we are gonna get our rim brush. So nice, soft. And this is really nice, as you can see here. We can just kind of get into the face of the wheel and clean pretty easily. Next, I'm gonna get my wheel woolly, and I'm gonna use that to get deeper into the well. Again, we wanna make sure that we clean all these deeper portions of the wheel and clean them really well, because otherwise that's just gonna keep coming back on the wheel. Now, similar to our more simple cleaning method, sometimes, especially with these high performance wheels, some of these areas will get in the way. So you might have to move the tire, move the car slightly after cleaning if you really want to be meticulous and get the entire wheel. Next, I'm gonna come here with my wash mitt. And this is just kind of good to clean up some of the other sections. I mean, the brush helps get a lot off, so you're not deep scrubbing on every single area, but the wash mitt really just helps you get into some of those deeper areas. Now, as mentioned before, when we come in with the wash mitt, we want to come behind the rim and clean behind the face of the rim and make sure that we're cleaning that area as well. Now, lastly, we get our detail brush, and this is good to hit all the smaller sections. So we'll hit our lug nuts, we'll hit our valve stem here. If there's maybe there's an emblem or something, other little details like that, this as well. And then an area that's really good to hit too is this outer portion in between the tire and the rim. Awesome. Then we're gonna rinse, dry, and we'll be done. So when it comes to washing your car, there's some other tools that we can use, especially foam guns and foam cannons. Now, we talked about a quality nozzle being really helpful here. This is an additionary attachment. This is called a foam gun. So this goes on your standard hose nozzle, not a pressure washer. If it goes on a pressure washer, that's a foam cannon. Now, personally, I would recommend saving the money towards a pressure washer or foam cannon instead of investing in one of these. But if you know, hey, you're not getting a pressure washer, you're not getting it till further down the line, a foam gun does provide a lot of help and value. So these range maybe 35, 40 for a low end one to about 75 for the most high end one. When it comes to the suds, which we'll show you, you're not gonna get the crazy foam that you're getting from a foam cannon. There's just not enough pressure in the system. But it is a really nice way of getting suds all over the car for your washing process. And again, it gives you some access to other things down the line, such as pre-soaks or no rinse post-soaks. So it opens up your wheelhouse a little bit. So we're gonna show this off here. Now we've got the whole car nicely soaped and suds up. So that soap can start to break down what's on the car. It can start to break down those contaminants. And when I come in with my wash mitt, I don't have to squeeze. I'm not trying to get soap everywhere. I mean, there's really just a nice coating on this. Now, I will say, this hose has incredible water pressure. This might be the strongest hose I've ever just naturally used. So this got a really, really good spread. With a lower end foam gun that doesn't have good pressure, I think you're not getting as good as this, but you're still getting quality. Again, it's just gonna make your washing process that much easier coming in here, knowing we've got all this suds, all this soap, all this lubrication, and it giving it a chance to break down. So again, choice is yours. We show you how to do it without it, but it does make a difference and it does make it a lot easier. When it comes to cleaning our car, let's talk about pressure washers. So pressure washers are extremely helpful because the less we touch the car, right, the less chance of scratching. The pressure washer removes a lot of dirt and contaminants before we even touch the car ourselves, going back to our less principle. Now, let's be real, a decent pressure washer kind of gonna cost you around the $200 range. There are some lower budget ones that are on the market. The problem with those is the GPM and the PSI. When it comes to a pressure washer, we don't need a super strong PSI. Paint is soft, we wanna be gentle with it. That's why you'll see we're using this white tip here. If you go too high in pressure, if you go too high in an angled tip, the thing that cleans concrete on your ground, yes, can also take your paint off. So you want to be mindful of the actual strength. Now, on the other side of that, we have the GPM. What is that useful for? That's gallons per minute. That's what gives our foam cannon that punch. And trust me, if you buy a pressure washer to detail your car with, you are going to want to foam cannon your car. It also makes a massive difference when it comes to cleaning the rims and the wheels and tires. You're able to really get into some of those spots that are tough to hit. You can really blast it and get a lot off with the pressure washer before you even have to touch it. Now, coming back to the car itself, if you're coated with a Nitro V7 spray, a Nitro 8 coat, you can get a lot of those contaminants off because it's creating that barrier. They come off more naturally. A car that's like naked, right? If we're taking a bare surface, just clear coat, the contaminants are still pretty sticky. With those coatings creating that barrier, you can pressure washer and get a lot off. Last but not least, this is a snub nose or like a tight pressure washer. This is what you want. The ones with the long lancers, right? It just kind of creates an issue. Whereas this, you can get up in close, get up into the crevices and get all over the car. But that's also where I'm mindful of good pressure washer at 200 bucks. This is an updated hose. This is an updated attachment. You get a foam cannon. All of the pricing does start to add up and we want to be mindful of that. All right, so now I'm gonna show you the foam cannon, which you've probably seen some of these on YouTube before in other detailing videos. They do make a massive difference for just getting a massive amount of foam on the car, which really makes the cleaning process easier and more enjoyable. Now, first you wanna get some nice foamy shampoo there in the bottom, and then you wanna fill it up. One of the mistakes people make is they don't fill it up with water and then it starts pulling and it doesn't really hit your mixture right. So get some foam in there, fill it up first, and then get it on your gun. As you can see, quick disconnect there. Nice, makes it really easy. So now we're gonna blast our car. Usually you kind of have your two main settings. So that's your straight shot, and then we go fan. Straight shot's nice, you wanna hit the rims. Fan, get the whole car. Now lastly, with that nice and foamed up, again, when we get foam on the car, AKA soap and suds, it starts to work to break down what's actually on the car. So we hit it with the pressure washer, we're removing contaminants, we get soap on it. The soap starts to beat down the contaminants and get some of that off. What all of that does is it works harder for us so that we can do less and we can touch the car less, which means less scratching. So you'll see here, just gliding over it, nice and smooth, nice little flip, gliding, nice and smooth, and just really just this massive amount of soap. So definitely a fan of using the pressure washer foam cannon combo. It's one of those things that after you do it once, you kind of don't want to wash a car another way because it's just so much more fun and it's just so much easier. Now, real quick, just to show you, if you wanted to do a touchless wash, which you could with this, if you have this coated Nitro V7, Nitro 8, Nitro Glow, a strong coating on there, you can hit it with the proper soap. There's some soaps that are specially formulated to be a touchless rinse where you don't even have to hit the car with a wash mitt. You just get it all nice foam cannon up, you rinse it off with this, you dry it properly, and you get nice and clean car, which is especially useful. Hey, it's really hot in the summer, it's really cold in the winter, something like that. You don't want to get the wash buckets out and do the whole thing. Hey, you can still get a really good clean on your car. So one thing I'm going to show you is I'm going to clean off a little bit of this. And what you can kind of see here is the soap itself, right? If we're using the right soap formula, it clings to the car. It's meant to stick to the car. And that's a good foam soap formula because it should cling to the car. We want it sticking to the car. And that's why it takes a little bit of work to actually clean it off. I really have to blast it. That's ideal. All right, now when you're washing your rims and tire, that's also a good time to do your exhaust. It has a similar amount of dirtiness as well as cleaning process. So something like a wheel and tire will do well there, or some other kind of iron remover, just stronger thing. So we're gonna spray that in. And now when it comes to cleaning the exhaust itself, you got a couple of options. You have your wheel woolly, you've got your brush. If you have like a smaller wheel woolly can work well, and or a separate towel. Now, of course, this towel we want to keep separate, keep it with the wheels and tires towel. Don't use this towel for anyone else on the car. So first I can kind of just come in here, clean it up a bit. And this is actually pretty clean. I mean, this is a nicer car. Again, it's kind of thing if you take care of, it'll stay clean, but if you give it too much time, it'll get dirty. So we're gonna come in here and just brush it up kind of nicely. Then we're gonna rinse that off. Again, use a separate towel that stays separate to dry it, and we'll be good to go. Now that we've properly washed the car, it is time to rinse the car off and then dry the car. So we wanna make sure that we get the hose all over the car, get it nice and wet, get all of the soap out. That includes crevices like back areas like this where you can see the water pooling. See how that water pools? Those are all areas where soap will collect, and we might want to make sure to hit all of that. Now again, with this nozzle, we don't have to blast it, right? We can do that, but we can also fan it. So in some of these areas, if you're always blasting it, the soap just keeps spraying everywhere, versus if you're fanning it, you can get the car nice and wet. All right, now let's talk about drying your vehicle. And we've got some tools here that's gonna make it a lot easier and a world of difference. Drying is one of the most overlooked aspects of the detailing and washing process. I know back in the day, sometimes I'd let my car air dry, or I'd use a beach towel to dry it. Now, if you let it air dry, that's how you get water spots. If you use a beach towel, you're gonna get scratches. So how do we fight back against that? Well, there's a few different key things that we can do. One, if we can dry our car in the shade, that's gonna help a lot. If you're unable to dry your car in the shade, think about where the sun is hitting the car. So if the sun was coming over here, this section is gonna start drying the quickest. So I wanna dry that section in the sun and then proceed to the other areas. Now, continuing on, a drying microfiber towel, like this big plush towel here, is gonna make a world of difference. And part of that is because it absorbs, and it's also going to pick up and collect things. If we go back to our old school chamois back in the day, for one, I feel like people don't clean these enough, so they get super dirty, and then they're just using that on their car every time. It also just absorbs the water and pushes it around, it's not picking up the dirt. There's still some dirt left on your car no matter how well you clean it. So coming in with this is gonna pick it up safely. Coming in with this could pick it up in a way that scratches your vehicle. Next, we're gonna talk about clutch gloss. So we're gonna use this specifically as a drying aid on the vehicle. So after we get the car all wet and rinsed, we're gonna introduce this on the entire car. Now, what does it do as a drying aid? Well, it weighs down the water, making it easier to dry. It massively reduces water spots, and it adds a final pop of shine that's really gonna tie your whole detail together. Now, as a note, you can use these smaller microfiber towels to dry the vehicle. If you get them damp and then wring them out, they actually absorb a little bit better. But I'll tell you, it's a heck of a hassle trying to dry a whole car with just these. So really recommend a drying towel here. And then 2 final notes. Good time to use our gloves because we don't want to introduce any more dirt. We don't want that coming onto our hands, coming onto the vehicle. And when we are cleaning the rims, drying the rims, again, we want to keep those towels separate. We want to use a different towel there. All right, now let's talk about 2 key tools that we offer that are really going to help your drying process. This is our Velux microfiber drying towel, super plush, large towel. You can get most of a vehicle with it. I would recommend 2 though. We also have our clutch gloss here. So once we get the vehicle nice and wet, we're just gonna spritz this all over the entire vehicle, right? Everything. What this is gonna do is it's gonna help weigh down the water, making it easier to dry. It's gonna reduce those water spots, and it's gonna add a final pop of shine. So get those tools ready, and then we'll show you how to dry the rest of the car. Now let's dry our rims. Again, we're gonna spray clutch gloss over it as a drying aid. Also just helps kind of get it nice and lubricated. Here we are gonna use one of our normal microfiber towels. If you are fancy and you wanna get a separate Big Daddy drying towel to use on this, hey, I do recommend it. The big towel works well, but if we're gonna be cost effective, we can use one of these here, specifically for the rims, just because they are so dirty. So we wanna keep this towel separate from our other towels, and we'll designate it as our rim, wheel, and door jamb towel. So just work through all the spokes there and get it nice and dry, and again, keep this towel separated. That's also where using different colored towels can help if you know, hey, certain towels are for certain areas, like yellow towels or blue towels, orange towels, that kind of thing. So in the drying process, we really want to look out for gotcha spots. Now, the trunk particularly, the hood, these kind of mirrors, right? A lot of time you'll get water either underneath this, or it might be in little crevices, which will then drip down and ruin this beautiful job that we did. A last area too to really pay attention to are the door jambs. Now this can be commonly overlooked. You'll see we have some water on the inside of here, but when it comes to dirt, this lower portion especially. Now again, this is where clutch gloss comes into handy, because not only is it a drying aid, but we can also use it as a quick detailer for these sections. So now I'm gonna come in and just clean this up nice right here. So we're drying and cleaning at the same time. And you can see not super dirty towel. I mean, this is, again, a nicer car, but you'll definitely see SUVs, other cars like that. This area can get really dirty, and nothing ruins a detail like this. I mean, this is an area that I've just become fascinated by in every detail. Sometimes even if I don't detail my car, I'll just clean this area. What's the first thing you see as you get into the car? You see this area. So if it's super dirty, it just really takes away. And it's one of those things that you might not notice if it's clean, but you notice if it's dirty. So when it is clean, it's just smooth, brings out your whole detail together. Now, no detail is complete without our nice, slick black tires. Now, this is our Tire GSS product, which stands for Graphene Shine and Shield, and also features our proprietary XiO2 formula. So I really like graphene specifically for the tires. It works well on rubber, and it's gonna give you a longer protection. Now, this type of tire shine is going to give you more of a nice satin black compared to the overly glossy looking wheels. Also, we've got our applicator here, which is nice because it helps you get into some of the grooves in the face of the tire. So I'm going to be mindful here, spraying into the applicator instead of spraying onto the tire. Now the reason for that, again, we don't want this overspray. We don't want it getting onto the rim, onto the wheel. Now we're gonna start to apply it. Again, as a note, these tires have been cleaned, right? These aren't just tires that are dirty. Some people don't clean their tires in the detailing process. This is not gonna work as well if the tire itself is not clean. Now, usually on this process, depending how much product you use, you might have some left over on the tire, or as we can see, there's a little bit on the rim there. So that's where I'm gonna pull out, again, one of my wheel and tire towels, and I'm just gonna clean up those spots, just kind of touch clean. Again, if we had a lot more spray here, and I'll kind of show you what it looks like to spray directly on. So again, we're getting some overspray, which really, we don't wanna have to deal with that, but this is how we get it off, right? Just kind of dab it up on the tire and then coming back in here and cleaning this up. So that's why using some kind of applicator that you're spraying into, specifically for the tires, is gonna work a lot better. And now we have this nice, shiny satin black rim. I wanna give it a little bit of time before we drive, just in case there is any additional tire product there we want it to dry and not sling on the car. Now we're gonna give you some quick interior tips, and as we work on the interior, we're gonna have our rubber floor mats here, and this is a good time to clean them. Now, of course, this is the cleaning process for rubber floor mats, not carpet or cloth. First, we are gonna rinse them down. Now, if we're just using the main products that we have, for example, we only have a soap and a wash mitt, we're gonna get that nice and soapy. And then we're gonna come back in with this lug nut brush that we had, and we're just gonna clean it up. If we have a little bit more product, we have our wheel and tire here, or our tire brush rather, and then our wheel and tire cleaner. We're gonna spritz that, come in, and really just get in there. This works great, especially if you have an outdoor kind of car and you got caked on mud, or like maybe you're out in the snow where things just get super dirty. After that, we are going to wash them, hang them up to dry. We want to hang them up to dry out of the sun. Hang them up to dry, then they're going to fade. That's what we don't want. Now, a few quick interior tips. We'll have a deeper video on interior detailing later on. When you are cleaning these surfaces, you don't want to spray into the surfaces. There's screens, there's gauges, there's a lot of things happening here, and you don't want the liquid and product to seep behind that, as well as overspray in the interior in general is more problematic. You might get liquids that seep into areas that you forget about and don't have a chance to clean. It gets on the glass, it gets everywhere. We don't want that. When we're in the interior, we want to be controlled. I really like a microfiber sponge here. As you can see, I'm going to spray into the sponge using our Clutch Silk. So this is our interior quick detailer, really great, part of the Clutch family, you could say. Clutch Gloss does the entire exterior. Clutch Silk does the entire interior. So safe to use on anything. And just showing, right, this is how we would then go about cleaning this kind of surface. Now, once again, as I've mentioned prior, you can already see it start to pick up, right? See how it starts to get dirty? Using a lightly colored microfiber really helps to show the dirt and grime. So just as you're cleaning this surface, you can start to see how dirty this gets. And just to point it out, I even got a little bit of overspray right in there, just spraying that right there. So it's like you can spray it outside of your vehicle, you can spray it somewhere else, but you just want to be mindful, and that's why we don't want to blast. Now, one more note, this works especially well on lightly colored. Dark colored, it wouldn't work as well, but lightly colored plastics, like some of these exterior pieces, they get really scuffed up. I had a trunk that was just massacred, and I used a melamine block, also known as a magic eraser, to clean up that surface. Now, what do these do? These are abrasive. They're super, super light abrasive, think sandpaper on the surface. So you don't want to scrub really hard because that will just take the surface off, or something like this, that's going to take the finish off. But if you scrub gently, you can get those deeper scuffs. It's almost like scratches, you could say, in plastic out. All right, now we're gonna talk about some quick pro tips when it comes to cleaning your glass. Without going super in depth, I'm just gonna give you some of the heavy hitters that will help you out. Now, when it comes to cleaning the glass, we wanna use gloves. Again, we don't wanna cause any smudging, we don't wanna move the oil around, introduce any other contaminants. Cleaning glass is hard and annoying enough, we don't wanna make it any harder. Next, coming back to what we've talked about before, we don't want to use a house cleaner. A lot of these glass house cleaners contain ammonium, which is going to be too strong on our glass and can eat through or chew through our glass. We don't want to do that. So, using a approved glass cleaner here, as you can see, my magical glass cleaner. The other thing that's going to make a big difference here is our towels. So we've talked about this in the past, but to bring it back, we have a waffle towel, waffle weave here, and then this kind of, I call it like the diamond pattern. This is a newer pattern towel. Dedicated glass cleaning towels are important because one, these work a lot better when it comes to cleaning the glass, and then two, we also want to keep these glass towels separate. So if for some reason we're not using these specific glass towels and we're just using one of our normal microfiber towels, we want to keep that separate, and that's where different colors help. Now, a little trick that we'll also note here, just as we're cleaning the glass, is two things. One, if you go up and down on the exterior and then side to side on the interior, if you do have streaking, you're able to see, okay, that's from the exterior, that's from the interior. Secondly, when we are cleaning, so showing you here, right? This is how you spray. What happens with a lot of people, they spray too much product onto the glass. They get too much, which can then be counterproductive and introduce streaking. A way that you can combat against that is by spraying directly into your towel. Now, this is something that's very important and very apparent when you're on the inside, right? If I just start blasting this, it's gonna get onto the dashboard, it's gonna get all over the car. We don't wanna do that. So when we're doing the inside of our car here, right, we're making sure to get it on the towel. Lastly, we've got two main tips, and that's gonna be for the windshield, a clay bar process really helps a lot. That's gonna get in deep and get off these contaminants. The clay bar works nicely on glass. So we'll show you that clay bar scrubber in another video. And then with the interior glass, this is an area where a lot of people struggle. The reason why is the interior of your car, it's getting off gassing from this plastic. You're getting gunk inside the car, right? You have a human in there, snot, nose, that kind of stuff. Maybe you're eating food, kids, pets, whatever it might be. All these different oils and gunks are coming onto that windshield. So a lot of times, if you have a very smudgy windshield, what you need to do is degrease it. Now, a melamine block, also known as a magic eraser, can work really well here. Also an IPA, so that's an alcohol mixture. We'll show you the formula for that. Huzzah, right here. So either of these two things on the interior, doing that as a first pass over to degrease it and get all of that off, kind of think about it like the decon process. Then you come back with your glass cleaner, your glass towels, and you get the rest of it clean. That's your glass tips. Glass isn't easy. Keep at it, you'll get better at it.